strategic move that Eddie is making for AJ? Why are you not thinking, let's get him set up for
kind of animal?
If that was years and years and years ago. Like, Clarissa is a way different fighter from when she was back in.
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on our
defenses that she's had to have recently. You know, she's pulled people.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the RoundTable about tribalism. I don't think tribalism is necessarily bad. I just don't think it has to be.
I don't know what he think he sees or what he think he know. But he going to the hospital, bro. Like, bro, you not winning that fight.
You guys mentioned, I think, DstyleBoxing, you mentioned him versus Regis program. I'd love, that sounds like a...
I don't need you, you know, and PBC and others, in my opinion, it's like, oh, this is my guy. Like, there's a relationship.
Flat out, it's tough, and we call box, and we go to the end of the round, and then...
That would say, what do you mean by acting black? That's a fair question, but a participant of trash talk knows...
And they're announcing a fight 3-4 months from now. And he ain't going to fight. I bet you anything. He's not going to fight somebody as good as John Wright. Thanks to those joining us live. Those that have joined us on the archive. This is D-Style here. This is the 183rd edition of the RoundTable. If you're listening on the archive, hit that like button. You know the deal. 100 likes is the goal. We have a great show lined up for you. I'm joined, of course, by Calix Boxing 2.0. He has several versions. We've been waiting for the third version now for a couple of years. It hasn't quite come. And of course, we got the one and only Steve Kim in the building. Nice to have you back, brother. And of course, Joe Habib. Catch him on Ringside Reporter. And of course, Steve, I guess, has a week off in the 3 knockdown rule, but you can check out his stuff with Mario Lopez. All right, let's go ahead and get this one started. We all saw the fight. Of course, Lomachenko styled on Kambosos. And I think it's fair to say it's the most one-sided of all his losses, the most one-sided that he suffered. He got hit to the body. He was hurt. Calix, what'd you think of the performance?
I thought it was a great performance. It exceeded my expectations because unlike the RoundTable last week, y'all all picked late stoppage. So y'all nailed that one. I was on a decision. I thought that leading up to the fight, Lomachenko has 33% KO percentage at lightweight, so not the best stopper, although he can punch, obviously. But the stopping ability was in question at this point in his career, and on top of that, Kambosos has a motor. He's a durable fighter, so I questioned that late decision, and it happened. So you got to give Lomachenko credit for that. One of the narratives I don't like coming out of this fight that's being pushed out there, even Lomachenko in a win, people are starting to push this narrative the past 2 fights that Lomachenko is soft to the body. And I don't see that at all. And I would argue that Lomachenko is conceding body punches in order to land the straight left upstairs. And if off of that straight left counter, if the combination counter is with that, he'll take that as well. So you take the Devin Haney fight, for instance. Devin Haney is landing body shots, right? But are they effective body shots? As opposed to what Lomachenko is giving him back. Lomachenko is still coming forward. He's still active. His output is going up throughout the fight. And on top of that, if you watch the fight, Lomachenko is landing straight lefts off of those body punches almost at will. Almost, even if he's not landing, it's almost a trigger for Lomachenko to throw the straight left off of that body punching as if they planned for that, right? And the same thing with Kambosos. Kambosos, according to CompuBox, lands 40 total shots. 25 of them are body punches. So he's not giving anything up upstairs, but what he is doing is I feel like he's conceding body punching. He wants you to throw the power shot down low so he can throw the left hand off of it. So I don't agree with this narrative coming out of the past 2 fights that Lomachenko is all of a sudden weak to the body. Is it vintage Lomachenko that we saw 126, 130, even early on his 135 run? No, but what he showed on Saturday is he can turn back the clock and win against a credible top 10 opponent at lightweight. Kambosos limited, but he's still got that Teofimo win and a tough resume. So still considered a top 10 win, and Lomachenko can still get those and look good.
Yeah, and what would you like to see next for Lomachenko moving forward, Kelly?
I would like to see him keep it moving. He's been on a once per year run the past, 2 calendar years. So I just think you keep it moving. So this weekend we got Navarrete versus Berinchyk. This weekend, it's a tough fight for Navarrete. I think those odds are too wide. It's a tough fight. But I'd like to see him fight the winner of that and keep it moving. The problem with waiting around for Shakur is you're waiting around for Shakur. And then we don't know how he's going to look. Even in a win, he can look like crap. I don't even plan on tuning in to see Shakur July 6th, to be quite honest with you. So even in a win, his stock could drop. And on top of that, you have to question free agency. Is Shakur, we know he would like to fight that fight, right? But it just gets too cloudy, and I'd like to see him just keep it moving. Just keep it moving, fight the winner of that fight if he does stick around. If he does stick around. I don't think he needs to stick around, by the way.
All right. Shout out to Danny Glover, not the one from Lethal Weapon. Okay, but we still got him here, right? Shout out to you and all that stuff. Steve, what you think of Lomachenko's performance, and what would you like to see next from him?
Well, I thought it was really good. He's kind of evolving. I don't think he has quite the same bounce that he did, and so the darting in and out with these really harsh angles that he gives his opponents. He doesn't really do it nearly as much. He's becoming what I would describe as an aggressive counterpuncher. That's a little bit more inside the pocket on his front foot, comes right down the middle, and he just slashes you. And that's what athletes do when they lose their absolute peak physical performance. It's not just a drop off that's immediate or dramatic. It's really an erosion. But the great ones know how to evolve. And I thought he was really good at just putting on, I would say, subtle and mental pressure and then just breaking him down. And as for what's next, it's interesting. When you listen to Lomachenko, I'm not so sure he's in this for the long haul. He is 36. I plan on giving Egis Klimas a call next week. He's kind of busy in Saudi Arabia at the moment, tending to other duties. But, you know, Callie asks, you talked about the Lomachenko-Stevenson fight. Look, here's the reality. Shakur Stevenson tries to have it both ways. He wants to weigh free agency and the fact that he could be independent, and then at the same time, wanting certain fights from Top Rank. I hate to tell you this, it doesn't work that way. Not in the perfect world. It certainly does not work that way in the boxing profession. And I get the sense that if Navarrete wins the fight against Berinchyk in San Diego on Saturday, and that's not a gimme, here's what I think. Navarrete comes at a cheaper price, and he's probably a lot easier to deal with in terms of making a fight with Shakur Stevenson.
All right. Okay. Beeb, what did you think of it went just like you said. Actually, they did throw in a towel. I saw a towel get thrown in. I said that's what Beeb said was going to happen. And what you like in a perfect world, if you were in charge, what would be next for Lomachenko?
I'd like him to fight Tank, but it's not going to happen. He'll probably, like, I agree with Steve, he'll probably end up fighting Navarrete if Navarrete wins. They've already talked about it, and it seems like a more fan-friendly fight. It's like Steve said, it's an easier fight to make. I do think Shakur will probably end up re-signing with Top Rank, though. I think he's kind of taking a stern posture here, but I think he's selling wolf tickets. I think he realizes that all the fights that he needs are going to be with Bob, so why not sign up again? I don't think he wants to go that route of having to go fight to fight. He knows that's going to be a tough road for him. As in regards to the fight, I did think Loma would hold his feet a little bit more in this fight because he had significant advantages in hand speed and foot speed. And I thought that, when he's put in those types of situations, he doesn't mind staying in the pocket longer because he feels as though he can see everything coming. I'm going to get my stuff off first. I'm going to be able to see what's coming at me, and I'm going to, work off of that, right? And he did do that. And I thought, when he did want to reset, he would keep Kambosos at arm's length because, again, when you have that great of a speed advantage, you don't have to go all the way out and reset because it's going to take a while for your opponent to reset against you. So you have time to kind of gamble a little bit and spend more time in the pocket. You don't have to move as much because you have such significant advantages in speed. And because of how that Haney fight played out, and even moving forward, I do think you're going to see a more aggressive Lomachenko because he doesn't want to leave it in the judge's hands anymore. I think he was going to put a stamp on these victories, and we saw how he turned it up later in that fight. And he went into that fight with a lot of spite, and he was throwing, I thought he was throwing a lot of body shots. He was really emptying out the clip on Kambosos, hitting him with everything but the kitchen sink. And I just felt that this was the Lomachenko that we were going to see in this fight. I did not, anticipate him being, like Steve said, the ambush type fighter in and out. And I thought we were going to see a lot less movement. Now, it remains to be seen if he can still do, what he did in the early days. Probably not to the same level, but I'm sure even in his advanced stage, he's still faster than a lot of guys. He could still outwork and outspeed and outmaneuver a lot of guys, even at this stage of his career. So I think I'm going to say something very bold here. I think he's the best at 135. I think he beats Shakur, and I'll tell you why. Because the thing with Shakur is his advantage is speed, right? And we saw with Dos Santos, he had quick feet, but the only problem was he didn't have as quick as hands as Shakur. With Loma, you're going to deal with a guy that can hang with you not only in foot speed but in hand speed, and you got a guy who has that sophistication just as you do. So with Shakur, if he can't outwork you and outspeed you, that's going to be a problem, because you're going in there with a guy who can hang with you in the speed department, hand and foot, and who could punch harder than you and can grind it out on the inside if he has to and bite down on his mouthpiece. I'm not so sure if Shakur Stevens is going to bite down on his mouthpiece and actually fight someone off him. He'd rather try to evade them and outmaneuver them and, fight on the perimeter. Lomachenko is not going to allow that because he's not going to be able to get away, right? And we did see Dos Santos cut the ring off against Shakur, but the problem was a touch slower with the hand speed, and that's how Shakur was able to kind of outbox him, because he was a little just that much of a step ahead of him when Dos Santos did catch up to him. But Dos Santos did catch up to him. He did corner him. He did trap him. And I see no reason why Lomachenko can't do that as well.
Yeah, and just to add to your point, because I saw a lot of people they always do this. Every time there's a boring fight, they blame the aggressor because he couldn't cut off the ring. Like I still don't, till this day, I don't understand this, right? They don't blame the guy that doesn't want to fight. But that's another story. But he would cut off the ring, and then he would hold him, and then the ref would immediately break it up and start him back in the middle of the ring. So all that work to cut off the ring meant nothing, because all you had to do was hold him.
Yeah.
And I had an issue with that myself. But either don't allow the holding, or once you're holding, then allow De Los Santos to work on the inside then, right? That's how I feel about it. But great stuff. Danny from the UK. Talk to us, brother. What did you think of Lomachenko's performance? What would you like to see next?
Lomachenko, he impressed me because I was skeptical. I thought because of he lost the Devin Haney fight and it'd been a year. I thought, is he going to slow down? And remember, Kambosos, he's quite explosive with his punches. So even though he's not the biggest puncher, but he is quite explosive. And he's, so I thought, being the younger man, could he be a bit too fast for Lomachenko? But Lomachenko, he showed he's still got it. He was able to put the punches in bunches. Even though you guys have said that, he doesn't use his footwork as much, but he was still able at times to do that thing where he steps around Kambosos and hit him with the left hand around the corner. So he was still able to get around the back of him. So he was still using those ballet footwork maneuvers. Kambosos started well. He managed to redden up Lomachenko's ribs like in the first and second round. But then once Lomachenko started getting into his rhythm, landing in the body shots of his own, cut Kambosos, started making Kambosos hesitant to come in because he was worried about the straight left hand down the pipe and the combinations, because Lomachenko, he doesn't just throw ones and twos. He uses that kind of, it must be a Soviet thing, because he uses the 2-1 attack, the 2-1-2. So he uses, Bivol does it, Kovalev likes to do that 2-1 move. And Lomachenko was doing that and then clipping him around the corner with the right hook, the southpaw right hook. which was like damaging him around the side. And then, yeah, he just broke him up. I thought he'd probably go to points because, you know, the later it goes, even though he was doing well, I thought Kambosos probably see it out. And he's been on the floor before against Teofimo late, but he's a tough guy. You know, he talks that art of war talk. And I thought, you know, the Spartan thing might kick in, he'll see it to the end. But when he got caught by that left hand on the head, which the referee called a slip, you could see Lomachenko knew because his eyes lit up. So he knew, oh, yeah, I've got you now. And it was very intelligent the way, instead of headhunting, the first thing he did was went bam straight to the body and just took the whole wind out of George Kambosos' sails. And then from there, it was the end. Really, the end was nice for a little combination, and the corner decided to throw the towel in with it. So yeah, Lomachenko, he looks really good. And that fight with Shakur Stevenson, yeah, the thing with Shakur. Also, I think he's got one of those vulnerable chins, because I just never forget against when he fought in the pandemic against that tanker guy, and he started running and he was very negative, and he was like, oh, I got hit with something and I didn't really like the way it felt. And then obviously you've seen in his last fight, he was really negative. So Lomachenko, yeah, he's not the biggest puncher, but he hits hard enough to gain your respect, and he has got that good foot movement and combination punching. So I think it's a 50-50 fight. Like, I don't think Shakur shouldn't think that he's aged out Lomachenko just yet, just because he's 36 years old. Because Lomachenko lives the lifestyle. He looks after himself. It seems he's even been to the war in his country, so he stays in shape. So yeah, I think that's a very good fight. I'd rather see that than the Navarrete fight. Also with Shakur, I'm not sure Matchroom are going to want to sign him, because who they're going to put him in with? Campbell Hatton? Like, they haven't really got the roster.
Leave Campbell alone. Leave Campbell alone.
You know what I mean? They haven't really got the roster to accommodate Shakur over there like that. So I think that Shakur is going to have to look elsewhere. I see him putting out tweets. Oh, Floyd gave me advice that Bob Arum doesn't like black fights, so he might go somewhere, but it ain't going to be Matchroom. But it's hard to think, where is he?
He ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, because he ain't going to go Golden
I don't know
Boy.
about that.
He ain't going nowhere.
Guys, keep this in mind. If this was 2018 when the zone came into existence and Eddie Hearn had $1 billion war chest, and he signed guys like Demetrius Andrade, Danny Roman, Tevin Farmer to exorbitant deals, that was a seller's market. That would have been a perfect opportunity for a Shakur Stevenson to put himself up for bidding, and he would have gotten a great deal. Right now, unless you're a guy like Boots Ennis, who's very palatable, very fan-friendly, very exciting, and I think you could build something in Philadelphia, Eddie Hearn's being a little bit more judicious in terms of the purse strings. The other thing about Shakur acting like he has all the leverage, guys, I was at his last fight against De Los Santos. It was a mediocre crowd, a terrible fight, and he's acting like he has all this leverage. And the thing that's mystifying is Top Rank, this company that you say is so oppressive towards black fighters, they're paying you $3 million to face a guy that lost on Showbox to Frank Martin. I'm sorry, there comes a point where you got to stop being a perennial malcontent and actually do your job better.
Yeah.
So y'all don't think this is a Shakur market for free agency?
He's going nowhere. He's got no options. He's not going anywhere.
Well, why are you pondering, Keller, as if like yeah, I think he could. Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, no,
Turkey?
I mean, hold on. Well, Turkey. Okay, you bring him up. You know what Turkey likes? Exciting fighters. Did you ever see that interview he did with Ole Oladipo? Did a really good job there. Love that. And he said, "Well, don't you like Mayweather?" And His Excellency was like, "No." He gave him a look like, "Ole, please." I mean,
hell no! I don't like that dude. Like, you kidding me right now?
The one thing that His Excellency has shown time and time again, he likes guys that fight and bring a show, and he loves the art of boxing, but it's professional boxing. And there's a reason why he likes Roberto Duran. And Larry Holmes is a great technician who was involved in some really good fights.
Yeah,
loves Larry Holmes.
Thing is, look, Calix, there may be a market for Stevenson. But is there a market that'll say, okay, right off the bat, you're getting guaranteed $3 million for the next 6 fights? Because that's what he's been getting. This whole notion that somehow it's been this mistreatment of Shakur. You know, Shakur, you mistreat the audience.
Yes.
And like now he's coming after me just for giving some old fatherly Uncle Kim advice.
Hey, he
Going
knocked me
after
out.
Ishe.
That's right.
Ishe didn't deserve. Ishe's trying to help you out as an older brother. Let me just end this rant like this, okay? Inoue is the type of fighter that wakes us up at 4 o'clock. Shakur's been the type of fighter that puts us to sleep at 8 p.m.
If we're lucky, Steve. If we're lucky, Steve, because these top rank cards, I tell you what, they're getting later and later.
12:30 a.m. Eastern time. Sorry about
they're
that.
getting later and
After
later.
they talk about the dog and the
Oh my God. But so I think you're right. And the other good thing about Turkey is, to your point, he likes guys. He'd rather guys entertain in a loss than put you to sleep in a win. But this is another thing that bothers me is people get surprised when they'll say you're comparing apples to orange. Well, yeah, we are. This is the thing about Lomachenko that bothers me when it comes to the American public. They don't put things in the proper perspective. So let me just give you some quick stats and then I'll be done with it. He loses to Orlando Salido. Salido blows off the weight. So in Salido blowing off the weight, Lomachenko in the loss gets first dibs for that vacant belt again. And then he fights Gary Russell Jr., who's #1 at the weight class 3 months later. So I posed this question to my chat earlier. Who else would do that? Particularly American fighters would be managed against
but they
doing
flip it,
that.
Alex. What they say is, privileged Loma.
He's privileged Loma to fight those fights. And the other thing is the quantity. Yes, you can compare the quantity. So this is the thing. Like Frank Martin, 20 fights in 7 years. Shakur Stevenson, 21 in 7 years. Tank Davis, 27 in 11 years. On average, these are 2 to 3 fights per year. Lomachenko, the same thing. But Lomachenko is giving you much better quality for these fights. And the quantity is almost negligible between these fighters. And these fighters are fighting Uber drivers on the front half of their career. That's what bothers me is when they go after the quantity of Lomachenko's fights, only 21 fights. Well, 19 and 20 of those have been title fights.
And
100%.
Calix, he also fought Luke Campbell in England, and he went down under to face Kambosos. He's made some concessions. He's had to give up money for certain fighters to get in the ring with him. He's done that more than once. And look, I think the Teofimo Lopez loss, it's a loss. I know he had some issues with his shoulder. The other 2 losses, I believe, have asterisks. I was there at the Haney fight. I thought the large majority of people, including myself, thought Lomachenko should have gotten his hand raised in victory. He's still a very, very tough out. And again, it'll be interesting to see how much more he wants to do this and what direction they go in their very next fight.
Well, I think he really does want that undisputed, and he realizes there's a short window. So he may just go balls to the walls and say, I don't have much time left, so I'm just going to put it all out there right now and give it my all. And he may take his career moving forward with a sense of urgency because he knows the window is closing.
I think it's closed,
for sure.
Beeb, as far as undisputed, and these are my reasonings. And I thought when this vacant title shot originally came about, I thought, okay, this is a 3rd run for undisputed. The reason that I don't think that anymore is if you look closer into that situation in Ukraine, that's taken a lot of toll in him. Yeah. It's not as cut and dry as people say. His family has taken a big toll. He's taken a big toll on that. The sentiment is not good out there for him. So I think the more interviews he's doing, he's telling you the end is near. The end is near. It's taking a toll on him. I think I think 2024 is it for him. Yeah, I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him cashed out at the expense of an American fighter who hasn't gone through the fire and now is going to take their shot at Lomachenko after years of aging him out.
I think next year is going to be his last year. I think he'll do one more year after this.
Well, yeah, I agree. We'll see where it goes for Lomachenko. A lot of exciting options, obviously. I'm not very excited about this next option. So the WBC has ordered Devin Haney to fight Sandor Martin.
Oh, my God.
So, okay. I don't hate the fight per se, but
You don't?
Like I'm not jumping up and down and like all excited about it. You know what I mean? I don't know, how did Sandor Martin get in this position? He lost against Teofimo.
Did
Like
he?
what? I thought he did,
Technically, he did. I know.
and
I
if
thought
a dude
I thought
like
it was
that,
a razor close fight. I thought it was a razor close fight.
but I guess my thing is, if that dude didn't like, I don't know, like why are you so eager to put a dude like that in position? Is all I'm saying. Okay, but okay, what do you think of this possible matchup, Steve?
I hope it's on the zone. I already pay enough or too much for that subscription. This one better not be pay-per-view. Look, it's actually in a certain respect, given what Devin just went through, where he got beat up a little bit, he may never be the same physically because he got hit hard. Didn't get hit a lot all the time, but I've seen fights like this change fighters. And Sandor Martin is tricky. He's slick. He's going to run around a little bit, but he's not a hard hitter. So the physical aspect of this fight actually kind of works for Devin. But in terms of this being fight of the year candidate, I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be a very dull boxing match, and you never know. Sandor Martin is the type of guy that can neutralize almost anyone he faces and then get enough people to think, no matter how that fight was, that he may have actually outpointed whoever he faced.
All right. Danny, what do you think of the matchup, brother?
Yeah, it's not the most exciting fight, but I think Sandor Martin beat Teofimo Lopez. The referee didn't call a couple of those knockdowns. He made Teofimo even say, "Do I still got it?" I think he knew deep down in his heart he didn't really win the fight. So I think based off the back of that, they feel they have to give him some kind of justice, the same way they kind of felt they had to help out Maxie Hughes when he got robbed against George Kambosos. So, but Devin Haney, yeah, is a good fight to come back to because he's not another power puncher. It's someone who is more of a boxing match, which Devin would more prefer stylistically wise, especially after his last fight where someone was, throwing big hooks at him. So stylistically, I think is a good match, but it's not going to be an exciting one. There's not really much I can say about it. So, but I expect Devin to win, but Sandor can make it close.
All right. Shout out to Hot Boxing Minute. Church of D-Style now in session. Salute to the panel. Banzai.
Oh, my fellow crouching tiger.
What are you saying that just because Steve Kim's on the panel?
Bonsai.
Is that what it is? You know what's going on right now? Dave from the Shushan. How's it going, brother?
It's going good, fellas.
Talk to us. Sandor Martin, Devin Haney. What comes to mind? Like, what's?
It's a great rebound. It's I like it. I like it a lot. And Sandor Martin is he's no soft touch at all. He had that massive upset in Fresno in the backyard of Mikey Garcia. He gave Teofimo hell. Arguably could have beat him on many people's scorecards. I like this fight stylistically. He just mentioned, I like this fight for Devin Haney as a bounce back because it truly is a boxer versus boxer. And this is a match that's not going to be an easy fight for Devin Haney whatsoever. We don't know where his confidence level is, but he's absolutely going to get tested. And we're going to see if Devin Haney can go back to what makes him a great fighter is being a good boxer. Can he work on those things that he didn't bring to the table against Ryan Garcia? So I like this fight a lot. As far as being a Sweet Science fan, that's what it is. It's probably not going to be fan friendly. It's not going to be something that people are going to be wanting to see on pay-per-view, but for Devin Haney, I do like this as a mandatory defense by the WBC.
All right, Calix. I mean, I know you're excited for that. You're gonna make sure there's gonna be no boiling, crawfish that day, nothing like that. You're gonna be like watching this fight.
Oh yeah, I'm telling everybody leave me alone and I'll be locked in. Oh yeah, no. The thing with this fight is entertainment value. No, it's not going to be there for me. And like Steve said, it better not be on. They better not put that on pay-per-view. And no, it's not going to be fan friendly. However, I do like Sandor getting the shot. Obviously, Devin Haney gets to keep his belt. And that's deservedly so. Ryan Garcia blew off the weight. God only knows what was in his system. What was it? I don't know. But I do like Sandor getting the shot because I thought, like a lot of people, he beat Teofimo. He had the Mikey Garcia win. He's got a 2-fight win streak after the Teofimo fight. So I got no problem. I've seen way worse guys get shots at titles, way less deserving guys get title shots than Sandor Martin. And it's just keep Devin Haney busy. Easy fight to make. Keep him busy. Let's go. Let's move with it.
All right. Joe Beeb, what are your thoughts? WBC has ordered this fight.
I mean, like the Teo fight could have gone either way, and a lot of people did think that Sandor Martin won the fight. It was a close fight. So based off of that, he definitely belongs. He proved he belongs, right? As far as the fight goes, it is a good bounce back fight, like you guys said, for Devin, but it's going to be a fencing match, I believe. These guys are both outside fighters. They could break a record for the least amount of power punches thrown in a fight. You know what I mean? This is just going to be a jab fest. And Steve makes a great point. I mean, the thing when Devin got knocked down, and he had that look on his face, like he had like a look on his face, like he was beaten. You could tell when someone has that look in their face, like wow, like he just looked. All of the, I don't know how I could say this, like all of the motivation and determination was just sucked out of his body, sitting on the canvas, looking up like this at Ryan. And I don't know, man. I'm really, really curious to see how he does come back from this. He is a young kid. There is time for him to rebuild, but this is a fighter in Sandor Martin. It's not a big puncher, but he is tricky, right? He's going to throw a lot of punches, right? So this is going to come down to, it's going to be a fencing match, and some of these rounds are going to be coin flips. And is Devin Haney just going to get the round because of the subconscious bias of the guy being the house fighter and being the champion? This could be a stinker. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, you bring up that scenario about, I think they call it the cloak of invincibility.
Correct.
That a lot of undefeateds have. And I call it being Rosario'd.
That's true.
Rosario was this hard-hitting Puerto Rican Chapo. You guys all know of him. But Hector Camacho was one of the most spectacular, sensational, exciting fighters of all time until the summer of 1986 when Chapo busted him up 2-3 times. And Camacho was never the same. He became the greatest runner that country ever had since, I guess, Alberto Salazar. I think he's Puerto Rican. He won the Boston Marathon or something. And Macho Man said flat out, I'm not being macho. It ain't macho time anymore. He just said, forget it. I'm not doing it. Completely altered a career. And another thing that I remember, I was there when Felix Trinidad lit up Fernando Vargas early and then late. And it was such a courageous performance. And then main events matched Vargas up in his immediate comeback fight against a relatively light-hitting welterweight out of Puerto Rico named Alfredo Rivera. I'm sure you guys remember him. He was a pretty good fighter, but he couldn't punch. And when Rivera smacked Vargas and sent him down, you knew right then the punch resistance was gone. So
I think that was in El Paso, actually.
Yes, that was in El Paso on HBO Boxing After Dark. And that's when you kind of knew, like, okay, De La Hoya is going to face him now. And now I've actually been told that's when Golden Boy said, okay, we're going to make this fight. So that's going to be the intrigue of the first time Haney gets hit right in the chops. How does he react?
And also too, Steve, the reason why I kind of piggybacked off the point you made is when Haney was first coming up, a lot of people were saying he was a little bit too safety first. And then he started evolving a little bit. We saw in the Lomachenko fight how he stayed in the pocket. He was grinding it out, throwing body shots. His claim to fame is getting off first. Now, if you're going to think twice about pulling the trigger, how are you going to get off first? That's the thing.
That's true.
So we don't know. He usually he has that first step against everybody. But what good is having that first step if you can't pull the trigger? You can have that Glock 17, but if you don't have the wherewithal to squeeze that trigger, you're not gonna be able to empty out that clip.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Very true. Shout out to Base the Kid, the hardcore casual with the 2 pounds. Much appreciated.
Big up, Base.
Shout out to Base. Yeah, big up to Base for sure. Look, I find it interesting that Calix all of a sudden pronounces Navarrete like perfect, like rolling his R's, but we're still going to play this either way. Navarrete.
Feliz
Navarrete.
Feliz
Navarrete.
Prospero año y felicidad.
He'll always be Navarrete to me. I'm trying to be respectful, D-Style. His mom named him Navarrete. I'll call him Navarrete, but he'll always be Navarrete to me.
Well, his mom named him Emanuel. Navarrete is from his dad. You know, it is what it is. That wasn't a choice. But nonetheless, Emanuel Navarrete is going to make his debut at 135 pounds. He's going for another belt, another division. I think he's a major player in his weight class, quite frankly. And we mentioned him already, but you know, he's got a fight against Denis Berinchyk. I think I'm pronouncing that right. For WBO lightweight vacant belt. Well, now I have to conquer another weight class here. Calix, what do you think?
He's a minus 650 favorite against Berinchyk, and I think this is a trap. And I think those odds are too wide. Will he conquer the weight class? I mean, that's lofty expectations. I think when you look at the landscape at 135, I think he'll win some big fights and lose some big fights. Awkward fighter. He's one of the few fighters, though, who fought 3 times in 2024. He fought tough fights. So I offer forgiveness for those fighters, especially in the era when we see guys fighting once, maybe twice per year. So if a guy fights 3 times in a year, the degree of difficulty is higher, especially when you're facing 3 different styles, and you're seeing just different styles at the top competition, top level. So we're still 1 fight removed from that Valdez fight where he looked like a killer. I think he can do damage at 135. However, I think this is a trap fight. It's not a gimme. And I said last week on the roundtable, we're all looking forward to a possible Lomachenko Navarrete showdown later on in the year. That will be very entertaining. This is a tougher leg of getting to that. This was the much tougher leg than Lomachenko fighting Kambosos. This is a trap fight, but it is one ultimately I think he'll get past. But this lofty expectation of him taking over 135, I think he'll win some big fights and lose some big fights. I think it'll be up and down.
All right. Shabib, is this a trap fight? Do you agree with Calix? Right? And what do you think?
I respectfully disagree because I don't think Berinchyk has the firepower to deal with Navarrete. I think Navarrete is a big puncher. He's a strong guy. He's a physical guy. He's got a good jab. And the thing about him is when he gets on the inside, he's throwing these punches from the floor. You can't see them coming. And how he gets leverage on these shots and hurts guys with the way he throws them is incredible. Berinchyk is gonna fight. He's gonna come to him. It's gonna be a battle. He's gonna be aggressive in the fight. He's gonna try to get inside. He's not the biggest lightweight in the world. He's not the biggest puncher in the world. But he is going to come to Navarrete, which is going to suit Navarrete, right? And he's going to try to get inside. He's going to get low, but I can just see, Navarrete landing one of those half hook, half uppercuts from the floor, and Berinchyk not seeing it, and it can turn the fight. Now Berinchyk is a sturdy guy. He's a gritty guy. He may go to 12, but I think as the fight wears on, he's going to start getting worn down. He's going to start getting beat up, and a lot of that aggression is going to get sapped out of him. And I do think Navarrete is going to pull away in the second half of the fight, and he should win a clear decision, in my opinion.
All right. And what do you think, Joe? Like, how do you think overall Navarrete is going to do in his weight class?
It's going to be tough. I don't think he's going to beat. He could beat a guy. I mean, I don't think he beats a guy like Shakur. It's a bad style matchup for him.
Is it?
I think it's I think it's a bad style matchup for him. I do, because I think, again, when Shakur has that speed advantage, he's gonna play tag with you. Pop, pop, pop. He's gonna move. Pop, 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 move. And Navarrete needs to plant his feet. He needs to kind of have you stand with him, and I don't think he's going to be able to cut that ring off. I think it would be a tough fight for him. I think it'd be a tough fight for him because I don't think he'd be able to catch up to Shakur. I think Shakur is just too quick. But yeah, I think Lomachenko beats Navarrete. I think he'll be a short-lived title holder, man. To be honest with you, no disrespect. I just think that there's tough guys up here for him. There's not only guys that are tough, but there's guys that are highly skilled. They're quick. They're athletic, and he's gonna have problems with that. My opinion.
All right, Steve, sleeper fight for you, and how do you think he'll do in his weight class?
Look, Berinchyk is not spectacular, but he's solid, and he's going to give a good account of himself. I get the sense, and I was actually at that fight with Conceição, which I thought he won. Nothing there's cracks in the armor because Navarrete is a very flawed fighter technically. Every fighter that moves up in weight has a threshold where they reach that ceiling. I get the sense that 35 is going to be his ceiling. And I'm kind of with Beeb. I think he's good enough to win a belt. But will he ever get to that point where people say, is he the best guy in the division? Because that's the way I judge fighters. In an era when guys are 3-4-time weight division jumpers and they win titles, a lot of guys like Adrian Broner, you kind of find out they've never been the best guy in a division. I'm not so sure Navarrete's ever been that guy either. Didn't have a lot of unification bouts that I remember. But I get the sense Top Rank made this fight for a reason, and it was a vacant title shot, and they're in very good standing with the WBO. He wins this fight, but as you guys have alluded to, he's probably renting the belt more than holding it for a long-term lease.
Okay. All right.
He's a placeholder for Lomachenko.
Oh, don't let Shakur hear that. That's going to upset him.
So we got to get it. We got to get him the.
I can hear the keyboard tapping now, B. Oh,
so we got to get him the polish, right? He's just going to polish it.
Bob already let the cat out the bag, bro. Yeah. He's gonna have to wait.
He's going to give him the polish. Make sure you polish it for Loma, okay? But Dave, do you think this is a sleeper fight? Do you think Berinchyk has a shot here against Navarrete or as Khaled says, Navarrete? Right?
Navarrete.
And how do you think do you think he's going to be fine at this weight class, or do you think maybe this could be a ceiling?
Yeah, I definitely think this is the ceiling. Yeah, it's exciting because we just saw Inoue do what he did, but he actually got floored for the very first time. And when we saw Navarrete make his debut at 130 pounds to that unknown Australian fighter, he got a taste of his own medicine. He was floored. And I think what I'm going to be looking for in this fight is that, moving up another weight class, that not necessarily a big puncher, but a lightweight, a legitimate lightweight could hurt Navarrete at this weight class. I think it's going to be very exciting. What's going to be most important here is that Navarrete has that tremendous championship experience and the ring IQ. And that's going to prevail. That's going to help him prevail here and become a champion in this fourth weight class now, right? I think it's going to be a dirty fight. I think it's going to be a tough fight for him. Ultimately, for unification, I know they're probably wanting to have him unify with Lomachenko, and I think that is an exciting fight in its own right. It's going to give me a little bit of memories of the Salido fight. Does he pull off a Salido? Does Navarrete do the unthinkable and pull off a Salido and upset Lomachenko? But what I would really be excited about seeing at lightweight is Navarrete versus William El Camarón Cepeda. I saw William El Camarón Cepeda fight here at the Cosmo just recently. His fan base is growing so quickly, guys. He sold out that Cosmopolitan on his own, really. And I think that him being ranked so high amongst basically all the sanctioning bodies, that's a Mexican versus Mexican fight I want to see. And I really don't know who would be winner. Would it be Navarrete, who's now has 4 championships, or will it be William El Camarón Cepeda, who holds a record for most punches thrown by a lightweight? That's a fight that excites me. And maybe if he does fight, if Navarrete gets his title and fights Lomachenko, loses, then maybe there'll be space for that Mexican showdown.
To that note, Cepeda is number 1 in 3 of the 4 sanctioning bodies. And I spoke to Eric Gomez on Friday, the president of Golden Boy. Looks like he's going to come back in July. And they're going to figure out which eliminator they're going to take, because I think they have their selection of everything outside the BO. I get the sense, if the money's right, I think they like Tank, believe it or not. So I would love to see Tank versus Camarón.
Yeah, look, I will say this, is that, look, These guys are lucky Isaac Cruz left the division. I'm just going to put that out.
Oh my God,
there,
here we go.
But
here we go.
Because he
like
would
clockwork.
knock Navarrete
Like
down. I'm
clockwork.
sorry. All right, but I one thing before I go to Danny, I don't know. I think I've been seeing these flaws of Navarrete for a while, and everyone has, and everyone keeps swearing, okay, this is the guy that's going to expose him, and every time people are sure this is it, it's not it, and then he has this spectacular performance. Calix and I talked to Liam Wilson and to Valdez, and they both said something similar about him, like
he hits hard.
Yeah, like things
and he's
like
awkward. Super
I
awkward.
I didn't think he could hit me with that shot. I didn't think it was possible. Then I got hit with it, like because of where he was, because he's just awkward. He just does things.
They both said on film it didn't look like it did in person in the ring. On film, it didn't look like that.
That's exactly. Sorry, but that's exactly what Ruben Villa told me in his gym in Salinas. Ruben Villa says, I was most definitely not prepared for what Navarrete was going to do. Up until the 6th round is that he got a grasp for what Navarrete was capable of.
Yeah. And Ruben Villa, by the way, I think he beats Fernando Lopez in a rematch, putting that out there. He beats him again. But that's another story. Danny, Navarrete, El Vaquero, lightweight. Is this a sleeper fight for you? And do you see him doing anything significant in his weight class?
Yeah, I do think it is a sleeper fight. You know, Navarrete, I think people still keep going on about or thinking about the Liam Wilson fight, you know, where he got dropped. But he came back, you know, he's got a big head. He showed good marks of recovery. But Denis Berinchyk, he's a good fighter. I was actually at his last fight, remember last year in Poland, when he was on the Usyk Dubois card versus Anthony Yijik. And he's a good fighter. And I remember he fought also the fight before in the UK at the Tottenham Stadium when Anthony Joshua was there. So, yeah, I've seen his last two fights. I've seen Berinchyk fight a few times. So he's more than capable of winning this fight as well. So this is a 50-50 fight. And I know you guys are talking about saying you want to see Navarrete maybe fight Loma, but then it could be an all-out Ukrainian affair. If Berinchyk wins, then he could fight Loma in an all-out Ukrainian affair somewhere. I know someone probably in Saudi would probably have to put it on because it doesn't really sell in America too much, and we know that they can't put it in their home stadium right now. But yeah, I think this is a sleep fight. I think this is going to be a good fight because Berinchyk, he does come to fight. He likes to slug it out, especially towards the back end of his fights. And Navarrete, we know he definitely brings it, and he can punch too. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this fight. To be fair, yeah, I think this is going to be a good one.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. You know, after this fight, we'll have a better assessment how Navarrete is looking in his weight class. We'll see. Yeah, it could be he could look better. He could look worse. He could. Who knows, right? I don't even know what to say about Navarrete sometimes because he's so
Nava versus the Mexican murder hornet, the most exciting fighter in the sport, has to happen at 135.
Shrimp.
I don't even care if these guys lose title shots. After that, do that fight. You have to do that fight for the fans. You have to do that fight.
That's a great fight.
Yeah. As far as, you know, I don't think he'll dominate the division, even if Navarrete wins. I don't think he'll dominate the division. And I do think this is the last division because he did start off at 112 or 115?
122, I think, was his first title, Danny, when he beat Isaac Dogbe, right?
Yeah, but his debut was about 112 or 115, something like that. So he did start very low. So I think this is the max out. But, you know,
112.
Yeah, so this is the max out, I think, for me. That's quite a lot of weight in your career to put on at the end of the day. And he's 29. People don't really start putting on too much weight after 29 years old, to be fair. When you think of guys like Floyd and Manny, they didn't really go up through the divisions after 29. It's normally when they're a bit younger and they're able to do so.
Yeah, plus, this isn't according to me. According to Timothy Bradley, the athleticism really starts at 135 pounds.
Stop hating on Tim.
Right. Like he really emphasized how Loma, when he was when he moved up, he had to deal with the athleticism.
Come on, this is backed by science, please.
And I like how he threw 140, like 135, especially 140. Like, the weight class where you just happen to start, Tim, right? That's where the peak of athleticism.
Tim's got a degree in kinesiology. You didn't know that?
Just saying. I just don't get, like, I don't know. Let me just say something. This idea that guys get more athletic the more you move up is the craziest thing to me. I'm sorry. Like, I look at it in a way, and he's a hell of an athlete. Like, there's no other way around it to me, right? I don't know. That's just me.
Poor Tim. Jeez. That's my guy too.
Shout out to Timothy, but now it's gonna have to deal with that athleticism. You know what I mean? So we're gonna have to see what happens there. So look, and we're gonna get to Usyk Fury next, but first. So much to, or before we get to that fight, which is huge. I'll be remiss if we don't talk about Jai Opetaia against Mairis Briedis. This is a rematch. The first fight was a great fight. I thought Jai clearly won, but it was a tough fight because of the jaw. Yeah. His jaw was messed up in that fight.
It was competitive.
And you know. Is this going to be a close fight again? Do you think Jai easily wins this time? Do you think it's a tougher fight, etc.? Dave, 408, start us out, brother. How do you think this fight's going to go?
Wow, the first one, it's going to be really hard to top the amount of sheer violence that first one had. I think Jai Opetaia is going to win this with more ease, as Brady's he's well into his he's 40s now. I think he's going to win this one with much more ease, and it's not going to be as violent as the first affair, as I think Jai is really getting into his peak, and he's a very exciting cruiserweight champion. Shout out to Mairis Briedis, because he's like, we've seen a lot of this diss war rap track stuff going on, and even Ryan Garcia was here in Vegas doing this diss tracks at the nightclubs. But I believe Brady's had a diss track of his own for that first fight, and it was actually kind of good.
He did, and it was good.
Y'all gotta stop. Like, it's kind of good. Like, you gotta stop.
So I am looking forward to this rematch, and if it's competitive like that first one, well, we're in for a real treat, because this isn't even the main event. Wow, yeah, no, this is going to be a great rematch.
You got Jai, I'm assuming.
I got Jai. Yeah, close fight.
Close fight. Okay, Danny, how do you think this fight's going to go, brother?
Well, since the first fight, Mairis has been inactive. He's 39 years old now. Jai Opetaia is 28, so 11 years his junior. Jai's been looking very vicious in his last two fights. He's been smacking up my British comrades over here, Jordan Thompson, and he's been slapped at Ellis Oro and stuff. So yeah, he's been looking vicious. I think he's actually going to get a stoppage this time. Personally. I just think Mairis, with the injuries, the age, inactivity, Jai's just been on fire, keeping active, sharpening his skills, honing, his craft, looking very vicious. His eyes he just looks intense. And I think he's going to put a proper beat down. And I don't think he got his jaw broken in two places last time out, but I think he must have had his mouth open why that would have happened. He's definitely going to keep his mouth closed this time, not get no jaws broke, and with that, he's going to be able to fight more of his fight. Because when your jaws broke, you're going to have to adjust mentally, because you're fighting two battles in there basically. But with this now, I think when he starts putting them punches together, he's going to get the stoppage on Mairis Briedis, and I think that'll be the curtain call for Mairis. Jai Opetaia, he's the number one cruiserweight in the division for me. Yeah, I think he's just going to dominate up the place, and then do what he needs to do. So yeah, I'm going with Jai Opetaia, man.
Let me tell you something, Danny. I think Zurdo has something to say about that. Fine, yeah, right. Shout out to Michael Montero. How's it going, brother? How you doing?
What's up, guys?
Mike.
What's up, Steve? How you doing, brother? I'm kind of dead because my nanny called in sick today, so it's been me and the wife with the two babies all day.
That's
so I got brain fog right now. But I'll try my best to jump in here. I heard Opetaia knocking out Briedis. I agree with that. I think Opetaia is the goods at cruiserweight, man.
So Briedis is going to have that same type of brain fog you're going through right now. Like
Yeah, I think so. Shit. Hopefully it's not as bad as mine. That's that dad brain thing. That's for real, man.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. I'd never believed it, but holy shit. Anyway, man, I'm excited about this fight Saturday, man. I haven't been this excited for a fight in a while. This is a big one.
No, for sure, for sure. We're going to touch on that next. Since we're on it, Michael, as far as the Jai Opetaia, do you think he'll stick around cruiserweight for a while, or do you think he'll move up to heavyweight soon?
I hope he stays around and cleans out the division. I think he's that good. I think he can do it. I think he can build a brand doing that. And then, look, he's going to move up eventually because the money at heavyweight's too good, right? And the guys that we're seeing fight Saturday, they're on the way out. Joshua's going to be around for a couple more years, but I mean, that could potentially be a big fight for Opetaia. All the belts are going to get broken back up next year, probably. So there's going to be opportunities for him to move up and get paydays. So that will happen. But my hope is that before he does that, sticks around the cruiserweight, cleans it out, sets a precedent, gets at least one defense. That's what Usyk did. You know, that one defense that he got before moving up, I think that just like solidified his accomplishments in that division. I want to see Opetaia do something similar.
All right. And Joe Beeb, so if I were to say to you, because some people are saying this, not a many, but there's a couple. This guy broke this man's jaw. Like you can't count him out. Like, what do you say to that?
Well, Jai Opetaia's got a lot of momentum right now, and unfortunately, Mairis Briedis does not. I mean, he's been off, as everyone said. I saw him a couple months, like I think it was like 6 months ago. He was doing a DAZN broadcast. They were interviewing him. He just looked really big, and I'm even questioning how the weight cut it's going to be for him. Jai Opetaia is a very versatile fighter. And he does remind me a little bit of Oleksandr Usyk with the way how he goes in and out, that ambush style as well. But also he can fight in the pocket, which enabled him to win the fight against Briedis, because Briedis is a tough guy on the inside. He can get physical. He can maul you. He can grind you out, deep in the pocket. And Opetaia was able, to deal with him, on the inside. And when he broke his jaw, he tried to get close in order to protect his jaw. So that's why he fought deep in the pocket. So he had to switch things up a little bit in that fight, because early in the fight, he was boxing from the outside, moving in and out more. But then he had to change things up. So when you got a guy like that who has that versatility, but also can punch, and also is tough, and also has got grit, he checks all the boxes. That's no disrespect to Briedis, but I just think Briedis doesn't check all the boxes here. He doesn't have the skill set, doesn't have the wide array of talent that Jai Opetaia does have. So, Jai Opetaia's got more weapons in this fight, and he's going to be able to use them effectively, I believe. And I do see a stoppage late in this fight. I do. Because, again, this is going to be Jai Opetaia without the broken jaw, right? You beat him with a broken jaw. How much better are you going to do without the broken jaw? That's the deductive reasoning, I would call that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I was actually I don't want to put words in your mouth when I ask a question and say, if you couldn't beat him with a broken jaw, what makes people think he's going to beat him with a good jaw? I mean, it is what it is. Like, you broke his jaw, you still couldn't get the job done, right? That's the way I look at it.
In 2 places.
Jesus. Right, and how tough is Jai to go through that? And for the dude saying he wants to see in the chat, he wants to see Jake Paul fight Jai,
He must not like
Jake Paul that much.
Yeah, he must not like Jake Paul,
bro. Like he would send him to the
Jake Paul to you, buddy.
Yeah, what's going on here? Calix, Jai Opetaia, Briedis. What are you expecting here?
Carnage, absolute carnage. Look, you know how high I am on Opetaia. So here's the thing. People forget that Mairis Briedis was actually the favorite going into that first fight. He was the favorite. Opetaia was the underdog. And a lot of us hopped on those odds because we saw Opetaia for the talent that he was. But Briedis, as he showed in that fight, is a tough fighter, and it's a tough belt to get off of him. But things have changed. Opetaia has fought, this will be his 3rd fight since then. And this is Briedis' first fight since then. As Steve Kim always says, activity matters. This is his first fight in 2 years. And the last time out, he lost to this guy. And like you said, he couldn't get him out of there even with the broken jaw. This guy broke his jaw early on in that fight. So we know he's tough and we know he likes to dish it out. He's been right outside my top 10 pound for pound for a while now. And D-Style, you and I are both high on Tim Tszyu. But as I've been telling you for a while now, I actually think Opetaia is the best fighter in Australia.
I agree with that.
And I think he has the highest ceiling. And I think he has the ceiling to go up to heavyweight and do damage. So you ready for this, Beeb? I'm going to give you some value here because I think there is value in the prop bets. Plus 900, Jai Opetaia to stop Mairis Briedis in the first 4 rounds. I think Briedis is here for a paycheck. I think Opetaia. You only
fucking doing it.
have to put a little bit of money down on plus 900. If you lose it, you lose it. So I'm telling you this. I think Opetaia is there to make a statement. I think this guy is a killer, and I think his coming out party is on Saturday. And if he does do that, welcome to my top 10 pound for pound list.
Lois, get the petty cash out.
Man. Well, that's a good bet, actually. That's actually a good bet.
I'm doing that. He just gave me a bet. Thank you, Cal.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, what are you expecting in this fight? And to kind of elaborate, like, kind of same thing I asked Michael. How long do you think he stays at cruiserweight?
Well, look, every good cruiserweight champion generally has moved up because the money's better at that next weight class. But, for this fight, it's real simple. It's trajectory of career. One guy is ascending. The other guy has kind of been dormant. And Jai Opetaia, in addition to being the best cruiserweight, is probably among the best dozen or so fighters in the world, period, pound for pound. So I actually think he's going to win this fight much more handily. And for Calix's sake, hopefully within the first 12 minutes of this bout. And, you mentioned Gilberto Ramirez. That may be a fight with enough interest that would keep Opetaia in the weight class. So. It looks to me, this is what I'm being told, Gilberto Ramirez, who just won that title against Goulamari, and he's going to have to take care of his mandatory in the WBA. That's none other than Junior Dorticos, which on paper is a pretty good fight, except I just checked it, and the Dorticos hasn't fought since 2022. But that's your Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez update that I know that your audience was just waiting for.
Okay. Well, look, Zurdo has no shot against Jai. I'm sorry.
None. I'm with you.
And Turkey he's done a lot of good stuff for boxing. Don't throw Bivol in there with Jai Opetaia. What are we doing? Like, that's not a good move at all. Like Jai Opetaia, in my opinion, is a future heavyweight champion of the world. That's what I'm looking at. I think he's the goods. I think he's good. He's got the talent. He's got the ring IQ. He's got the boxing ability, and he's got power. He's sweeping dudes, and I like that 1-4 bet. I do. I think he's going to make a statement, and plus 900, shit, why not? You know what I mean? And if it doesn't hit, I'll just blame Calix.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think he will stay at cruiser because he said that he wants to unify and become undisputed. And when you look through the history of the cruiserweights, those who normally go up and do big things as a heavyweight, when you're looking at Evander Holyfield, you look at David Hay, you look at Usyk, they normally go collecting the belts first and establish themselves as, the man at cruiser, and then they go up and then they go into the heavyweight division with confidence. Yeah, I've cleaned out this, so now my new challenge is the bigger guys, and I think that's what Jai Opetaia is looking to do. And he's got some dance partners, as you said. He's got Zurdo Ramirez there. You've got the winner of Chris Billam-Smith, Richard Riakporhe, so you can come back to England and fight another Brit. And yes, I think there's enough interest at cruiser, and he's not like he's bursting the seams. He doesn't look like he's struggling at the weight. Like, he's not a massive cruiserweight, so he'll be able to do it and clean out, and then go up to heavyweight and do what he needs to do, I believe.
I like Richard Riakporhe too, man. That guy is really good.
Yeah, he's my friend. We used to box with the Lynn together.
I like him. He's really
good. So Zurdo's going to fight Doritos. Who's he going to fight?
Yeah, that guy should take step aside catch.
Yeah, Dorticos. That's the mandatory. He has not fought since 2022, and I believe that fight's going to happen in July or August, per my sources.
Okay.
D-Style, I'm curious if he takes the same roadmap Tim Tszyu does, which Tim Tszyu's approach was, I need to become a household name in the U.S. And to me, that's the perfect fight. Zurdo fights here in Vegas regularly. He just fought in Vegas. To me, I want to see Jai come to Las Vegas and fight Zurdo in a unification.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a different path, I think, because of the weight class and the fighters that are available to fight. There's not a lot of Americans, for him to fight. But according to some, maybe fight in America, it's a whole different ballgame, apparently.
Yeah, according to Sean Porter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the trainer that said Inoue would get beat up in America by Fulton?
Kevin, is that Kevin Cunningham?
No, it's Kenny Ellis, one of the
Kenny Ellis.
cheerleaders for.
Kelly's just throwing names out there.
I thought I saw him say it too.
Oh. I guess. Like, you know what I mean? It's what is it, the air? I don't know. But look, we got a big heavyweight fight. We've been waiting for an undisputed heavyweight title fight for a while, right? We should have got it earlier in the year. Something happened. An elbow, caused a cut, and here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, Oleksandr Usyk will put 3 of his belts in line, and then, of course, also the ring belt up against the WBC champion, Tyson Fury. It will be for Undisputed, for all the marbles, okay, for the whole thing. The greatest prize in all of boxing, for sure. Michael, how do you see this fight, and who do you think's gonna win?
Man, oh man. You mentioned Undisputed. I gotta say this. We should have had Undisputed in the heavyweight division a decade ago. Vladimir Klitschko wanted to fight Berman Stavern, wanted to give Wilder step-aside money. Wilder didn't want to, Wilder's team didn't want to do it. So we've been getting cock-blocked on Undisputed at heavyweight for a decade.
Whoa.
And then we could have had Fury and Joshua at one point. That got cock-blocked. So we finally got it. We're finally getting it. And I'm excited for it. Look, let's talk about Usyk real quick. If he can pull this off, then in about, how many fights does he have? About 20 pro fights. He will have cleaned out the cruiserweight division, the heavyweight division, and every single one of the title fights will have taken place on the road. It was only his first handful of fights that were in his home country. That type of accomplishment would be simply unprecedented. Okay, at least in the modern era. I mean, guys have done things like that back in the day, Fitzsimmons and Armstrong, but in the modern era. And also, we're talking about the cruiserweight division. Evander Holyfield was the man there, then became undisputed at heavyweight. That division, I think, started in 1979 by the WBC. So it was only a few years old when Holyfield fought in it. It was 190 pounds. The division that Usyk cleaned out was light years better than the division Holyfield fought in, and it was 10 pounds heavier. So if he can do it at heavyweight, I just think this will be unprecedented. Having said all that, on paper, what should happen in this fight is Fury should not only win, but absolutely dominate and beat up Usyk, manhandle him. People talk about the size difference between Fury and Wilder. The truth is Wilder's taller and longer and more explosive than Usyk. So if Fury could manhandle Wilder, on paper, he should be able to manhandle Usyk. Now, of course, Usyk has stronger legs. He's a much better boxer, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying the optics of it. It's going to look like David and Goliath. So Fury should win. He should win big. Remember, he's fighting a blown-up middleweight. He's the one who's been saying that. But I'm picking Usyk by points. I think Usyk's going to take this fight by decision. Maybe 8-4. Might have a scary moment. Might get dropped early, flash knockdown or something. But I like him to win this fight and become the undisputed heavyweight champion.
Right. Steve, how do you see this one?
Yeah, look, I'm on the Ring Magazine panel, and I've already typed out my answer. So, yeah, I'm going with Usyk. I think there's a track record with Fury. He struggles against smaller, more athletic, mobile fighters, whether that's Steve Cunningham. I was there ringside when Otto Wallin nearly disrupted the plans of the Wilder rematch, and that fight could have probably been stopped somewhere in the first half of that fight. And the question is, I know everyone is assuming that Tyson Fury will be a better, more focused version of himself than we saw against Ngannou back in the fall. I surmise we may have seen a guy going backwards physically. It happens. It's been a very tough lifestyle. He's not the most disciplined guy. And I'm not so sure a slimmer, trimmer Fury is a better one. I really don't. He kind of looks a little hollowed out, to be honest with you. And if size is one of his great advantages, I'm not so sure why you'd want to be so lean looking. And Usyk has had a chance to grow into being a heavyweight. It took Evander Holyfield about 6-7 fights to become a legitimate heavyweight, up until the fight with Buster Douglas. Usyk has had that same type of number of fights. I like Usyk here. I'm just kind of going by a hunch here. And Usyk has a boxing IQ, and he's sharp down the middle. And so a lot of the advantages that he had in terms of ring IQ against a guy like Deontay Wilder, I do not think exist in this particular fight. So I'm taking Usyk by points.
Okay. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, hit the like button. We've got 71 people on YouTube. We got like 30 likes. So what's going on? Like, you're just lurking in the shadows. You don't want to hit the like. Okay, I get it, right? But hit the like button. It's much appreciated. Calix, talk to us. How do you think this one's going to go?
Both great points by Mike and Steve. All great points. Especially when it comes to Usyk getting here the tough way. Certain fighters, we talked about Carl Froch was that way, right? You look at all the different countries that guy fought in on the way to getting to where he got. It's a tough road. Usyk has fought in Saudi. He's fought in Poland. He's fought in the UK. He's fought in Germany. He's fought here in America. He's a road warrior. And that guy is built different because of everything he's gone through. I actually think that Fury has a lot more pressure going into this fight, not only because of the size and he's a career heavyweight, but I sort of compare his career arc to Andre Ward's. Andre Ward, circa 2011, after the Super 6, when we were all super high on him after that, and we started to think like all-time great sort of things, that this could be that type of destination, right? And then are close to it. But then what happens? He sues the dead promoter. He starts attacking journalists. He starts to go to this weird and dark place. So in between Chad Dawson and the first Kovalev fight, there's a 4-year gap. There's a 4-year gap here. And what happens is he gets the gift decision against Kovalev in the first fight. We all felt he lost that fight. We all have eyes. But in the second fight, he reconciles that, and then he retires. And in that, a lot of revisionist history comes after that. And it's because of how the career ended, his best performance, and the O is still there. So there's a lot of revisionist history that this guy, I think, was better than he actually was. And on top of that, there's a lot of forgiveness offered to him for those 4 years there, when those things were going on, those really ugly things where he needed 3 tune-up fights at 175 before he took the Kovalev fight. And they're sort of doing this weird thing where they're pretending like they were trying to fight Golovkin when they weren't. But in winning that fight and in his career that way, there's a lot of revisionist history over that. And a lot of that 4 years is forgiven. Whether you're an Andre Ward hater or not, you have to come to that conclusion. And the same thing with Tyson Fury. If Tyson Fury, and these Tyson Fury fans like to do this thing, the super fans. I saw him again earlier doing this thing where they pretend that this guy is an 8+ year lineal champion. It's like, fellas, he retired for 3 years. He retired for 3 years. What are you doing? And on top of that, he's retired multiple times after that. So he's not an 8+ year lineal champion when he was retired for half that time.
He also did steroids when he won the title anyway. I mean, he was on steroids when he won the title. So that should be a no contest. Sorry.
But what I'm saying is, no, you're right. But to the victor go the spoils. So if Tyson Fury wins this fight on Saturday, he does something historic. It's been a quarter century since it's been done. And I would disagree with you a little, Mike, because I think before this we should have got Undisputed, because the Klitschko brothers should have fought each other. And I'm not going to go there. They should have fought each other. But this is a historic thing, and it's going to wipe away and erase a lot of this ugly, really ugly 3 to 6 year period that Tyson Fury had, in which he's really giving it to the boxing fans and making it tough for us to like him, because I wanted to like the guy. There was a point in time when I did like the guy, and now I'm out. And I go back and forth on this fight, but I do lean Usyk decision as well. I was flirting with the upset until I woke up this morning and I'm saying, nah, I think the smart play here is Usyk speeding him up and winning a decision on activity. Fury is going to have to stink out this fight. He's going to have to stink out this fight in order to win it. So the referee is very important here. I don't want to see Fury abuse the Marcus of Queensberry rules. I want a referee who's going to hold them to it and warn them for the holding, because it's going to come. But I edge Usyk by close decision.
Okay. Danny, are you backing up your what do you guys call it, brethren, or what do you call it over there? Like are you backing up your dude? He's from the UK. You're from the UK. Against Usyk, or who do you got?
I've got Usyk, I've always had Usyk. And the reason being is stylistically wise, he is a nightmare for Fury. If you go back to early in Fury's career, it's just like Steve Kim said, he struggles with short, agile guys like Zach Page was able to give him trouble. And also, if you look at guys who are 6'3", I've noticed he always has major problems with them. He got dropped by Nevin Pajic, who's 6'3". Got dropped by Steve Cunningham, who he says was his toughest fight ever, 6'3". He got beat. Even his dad admits John McDermott, Mr. Fat Man, beat him that first fight. Also, check his height, 6'3". When he was due to fight David Haye, you could see he was scared stiff. He didn't really want that fight. Another guy, 6'3". When you look at Usyk, 6'3". So that stature alone is always going to pose major problems. And when you look at Fury now, I posted it on the Fight Fan TV Live Instagram page. Yeah, he's lost all that weight, but you look at his legs, they look very vulnerable. They don't look good at all. One's bending outwards. It just looks really skinny and weak. It doesn't look good. He looks vulnerable. So I don't think them knees don't look sturdy to me. So I see him actually going over a couple of times. I remember Usyk's not done it. He ain't the biggest puncher, but to be fair, Steve Cunningham and Nevin Pajic weren't the biggest punchers either, and they still managed to put him over. And Francis Ngannou is an MMA guy. Those guys don't punch like boxers, and he was still able to drop Fury. So I think his legs are shot. He's come down in weight, so he's not coming in to use this whole grabbing onto you and leaning onto you like he was against Steve Cunningham, which he had to resort to, leaning on him and holding him and then, slamming his fist in his face and leaning on Wilder and stuff like that. And remember also, Usyk has some martial arts, some type of wrestling martial arts background. So he was able to get out of those clinch holds and stuff like that and maneuver Fury around if need be. As we saw, Fury wasn't able to really manhandle someone like Francis Ngannou. Yeah, he's a lot bigger, but Usyk has that martial arts background where he's able to maneuver Fury if Fury wants to get dirty. We've seen Fury, he's looking desperate. His family's looking desperate. His dad's now, headbutting small guys, and the guy didn't even move. And his dad's all bleeding all over the place, looking real degenerate. History, history needs someone like Usyk to win at the end of the day, because Fury, he's just nah. But I've always thought Usyk's going to win. Those combinations down the pipe, because Usyk throws combinations down the pipe, and then the hooks. It's kind of like how Lomachenko does. Yeah, the footwork's similar too, but Lomachenko's a bit more dynamic with it. But those combinations alone, also, Fury ain't going to be able to do all this shimmy shoe nonsense with Usyk. And also, I think that Fury's engine down the stretch as well, I think it will start to wane, because your lifestyle catches up with you, just like what happened to my boy Errol Spence. All those years of abusing yourself, it's going to catch up with you when a guy has been living the life and doing what he needs to do. So yeah, I've got Usyk on points, and I think in that, yes, that's it, Sambo base. I think Usyk on points, and I think in that victory, he will drop Fury once or twice. Hopefully the judges are fair. I know Turkey, His Excellency, has been proper pushing. He wants this Fury AJ fight. So I hope that there isn't anything funny style going on, but I feel that Usyk will get the victory on points.
Okay, all right. Joe Habib, talk to us. How's this fight gonna go down?
Here it comes. Here it comes.
I like what Danny said about Loma, and a term that I used a lot tonight, and I think Usyk falls into this category, is the in-and-out ambush style fighter. But the one element he does add to it is he changes levels a lot when he does get in the mid-range. So it's hard to pin him down sometimes. You know, people talk about the trouble with the 6'3", right? People talk about the Wallen fight. They talk about the Cunningham fight, and they talk about Pajic fight, whatever, right? But what ended up happening in those fights? Tyson Fury found a way. Stopped Cunningham, right? Manhandled him, mauled him, stopped him. Stopped Pajic, right? Almost stopped Wallen in the 12th round of that fight. Turned it around. I scored that fight 9-3. Should that fight have been stopped? If I was the referee, I would have stopped it. He was lucky, right? We can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. He looked horrible against Ngannou. But I have a hard time believing Ngannou is Fury's ceiling. No one gets better with age. Usyk, nor Fury. We know that, right? But Fury, in my opinion, has more ways to win this fight. I could see Fury stopping Usyk. I have a hard time seeing Usyk stopping Fury. I just have a hard time seeing that. Again, I'm going to, not to sound redundant, I do believe Usyk is most effective in the mid-range, whereas Fury is dangerous at a distance, in the mid-range, and on the inside. Now, again, it's not pretty. That's some dirty boxing on the inside. That's some clinch fighting. That's some high-level clinch fighting, Bernard Hopkins style, Andre Ward style. We can go down the list of fighters who've done that, over the years, right? But it's effective. It's not only that he's grabbing you, wrapping you up, and mauling you. He's leaning on you. He's walking you back. He's maneuvering you, turning you, releasing the clinch, and he's punching off that clinch. So, again, I'm going to make a similarity here, and people are going to be like, what the fuck you talking about, Beeb? Because when I say similarity, I don't mean same, right? Go look at that Marquez Pacquiao trilogy, the 4 fights, right? And you saw Manny Pacquiao, another ambush guy, in and out, right? So he's coming to you, right? Again, faster than Marquez, more dynamic than Marquez, even hit harder than Marquez, right? But Marquez would wait for him, right? So Pacquiao comes forward, Marquez takes a step back, walks him into the right hand. Pacquiao goes back out to reset. Marquez follows him out, hits him again on the way out. So when you got that style where Usyk has to expend a lot of energy here to get close, he has to expend a lot of energy to move away. And there's going to be a lot of mental pressure dealing with a lot of the roughhouse mauling tactics of Fury, right? So Usyk is a great fighter, but I've seen him only win with that one style, and it's a great style, right? But I've seen Fury win in a lot of different ways, and Fury is a very underrated counterpuncher as well. So you got a guy in Usyk who's going to come forward. Fury's going to catch him with the jab on the way in, right? Okay, he gets past the jab, sets up shop in the mid-range. What is Fury going to do? Going to grab you, pull you in, lean on you, maneuver you, jockey for position, release the clinch, uppercut, looping right hand over the top, right? I hear about all this movement. Usyk is the one who's going to have to move a lot to get his offense off. Fury's not chasing this guy. This guy's coming to him. He has to come to him to get in range, to get his shots off. Fury's got a 86-inch reach versus a 78-inch reach. And Fury knows how to use that reach. So if what people are saying is true, Fury hit the wall, right? He turned the corner. This is it for Fury, right? That hard living caught up with him, right? If that's true, then yeah, Usyk wins. But we have to see that. We can't just assume that, because how many times, right, have we written fighters off after a bad performance? How many times have we seen a guy look like crap and then only to come back and win and have another big performance. We've seen Fury with the ups, the downs. We've seen him coming off a horrible performance. We've seen him with that gash, right? And then people are saying, oh, there's no way that gash is not going to open up in the second Wilder fight. And it didn't. And that was one of his best performances, and we've seen him at 260, 256, 260, 265. He's looked great at that weight. Against Dillian White, 264, that was a great performance, right? That was a great performance. So I have to look at this as I'm not going to see probably the Fury that I saw against Klitschko, right? But I'm sure that, Usyk's got some miles on him too. I'm sure he's got some miles on him too. And again, Usyk, he's not bulletproof. Look what Chisora did to him when he mauled him and roughed him up. I had that fight 115 to 113 for Usyk. Look at Briedis. I had that 115 to 113 for Usyk. That was another tough fight. I even had Bellew up on the cards before Usyk stopped him. So this guy is not bulletproof. This guy can be touched. This guy does not like a physical fight on the inside. This guy doesn't like a rough fight. And he's going to get a rough fight. So, Calix, I hate to disappoint you. You are going to see some nastiness on the inside, some ugliness on the inside, some mauling on the inside. Why wouldn't you? Even at 260, 265, he's still going to have a 40-pound weight advantage. Why not use it? Why not take advantage of it? So I think with all that being said, you're going to see Usyk get tired late in this fight because of all the movement and maneuvering he's going to have to do, not only to get his offense off, but to evade Fury's offense. And he's also going to expend a lot of energy having Fury lay on him when he reaches out and grabs him and leans on him. I'm going Fury 10th round stoppage in this fight. That's what I'm seeing here.
All right. Okay. All right. Hey, Dave, 408. Are you going to roll with Beeb, or do you think Usyk?
Oh, man, I thought the panel would have a clean sweep, but Beeb threw me for a loop on that one, huh? I agree with some of the people here on the panel that said that it's not going to be an easy night for Usyk. In fact, I actually think Tyson Fury does catch him coming in recklessly, and might have we're going to probably see a scare and Usyk go down. But ultimately, guys, all that stuff we've seen in the past, the Cunningham, the Otto Wallen, the piss poor performance he just had against Ngannou, I just think Usyk is going to make all the adjustments necessary, even if there is a scare, and he's going to pull ahead and prevail on a split decision win. I think this is going to be pretty close. Could be some scary moments, but Usyk is going to make history this Saturday. I'm certain of it. He is making history, and we'll be arguing come Monday whether or not he's pound for pound number one in the world.
I'm going with Usyk. I think. I don't like. I understand the size difference, but like, is Fury stronger? Is he a physically stronger man than Joshua? Like, if they had an arm wrestling match, if you had him lift weights, if you had him like do bench presses, deadlifts,
arm wrestling,
yeah, just
have stronger legs, and that's it.
I just think Joshua's a stronger physical man. I just do, and he dealt with him without a problem. He's also more explosive
and athletic
than Fury.
Yeah, definitely harder puncher. Yeah. Joshua is a much
harder. He's
puncher.
Already like now. Granted, different style. I get that, but Usyk's already felt the firepower of a big, strong dude, and Joshua. He's already done that before, right? And Joe, I actually saw the fight with you with Chisora, and I had it the same. But I think that was his real first fight at heavyweight. Like, I don't really count that first fight. I forgot who did he fight his first fight again? I don't remember.
Witherspoon. That was in Chicago.
Yeah, like it was his first real fight.
It was legitimate. It was his first legitimate fight. Yeah,
legitimate fight, and I think
I would agree with that.
He's filled in more from there. We talked to Russ Abner. We talked about that and said, like he's filling out more, and that was 2 years ago, right? And he's just and we've seen that the guy's weighing in. Like, I just think too many people, in my opinion, are talking about Usyk. He's this itty bitty little dude, but the guy's like 225 pounds, right? That's what he's weighing in at. He's 6'3.5", I believe. He's athletic. He's got enough pop for guys to respect him. Like he stopped Dubois,
yeah,
and with relative ease. Granted, I didn't like the shenanigans. That's what I call it. It's my opinion, right? It is what it is. I thought Dubois got shafted, but that doesn't really matter anymore. Dubois and Ngannou should have probably been for the Undisputed Championship, but as crazy as that sounds.
Wow.
And I cannot, I just can't, for the life of me, I just don't have an answer for what the fuck happened in September last year. What was that? Like, Tyson Fury took a big dump in the middle of the ring. He embarrassed himself. He embarrassed the sport. Had MMA fans out here flexing on us. Like, yeah, our guys can beat your guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like we have AJ. Yeah, they have polls like 90% of people picking Ngannou to knock AJ out. I'm like, well, what's going on here? Like,
D-Style, real quick.
Fucking
a little bit of pushback on what you just said. I
about
agree
him
with you.
A dump in the middle of the ring?
No, not that part, because we're all in agreement there. AJ is my favorite heavyweight. He's consistent, but yes, you could argue he's stronger. But one thing you got to give Fury credit to is I think he has good improvisation skills. He's more of a free fighter than AJ is more robotic. So I think it's more of a puzzle for
Usyk. Better defensive reflexes.
I think it's more of a puzzle going in for AJ. But I do believe this though. If what I think happens and Usyk wins this fight, it's going to make for some interesting conversations on Sunday as far as pound for pound. I know Steve Kim's co-host Mario Lopez is going to be arguing hard for Usyk pound for pound, and you're going to have three fighters with the claim to that legacy, and it's going to be interesting.
Because I have this thought, I need to let it out before it leaves me. But look, I'm picking Usyk to win. And to answer that question, I agree with all that. I'm just talking about dealing with like I don't just look at the weight. I'm looking at like the intensity and the strength of the man that he's facing. Because that's really what it boils down to. And he was able to deal with that without a problem, really. And I would argue that those two losses from AJ, I actually think those are the two, especially the rematch is probably the best version of AJ I ever seen, even though he lost. I don't think any other heavyweight that night beats him. I just don't. And Usyk did. So I just think that for me, I'm looking at that, and to go back to Shred and Fury for a little bit, because I can't get that out of my head. Like, I don't care. He looked out of shape. We all know he was out of shape, and he's never in shape, but he was really not. Like, he looked, like Dana White said, like he ate Tyson Fury. I get all that, but that still doesn't explain, like, why his timing was so off. Why he couldn't counter this guy. Like he couldn't figure out Ngannou. Like, he was just like a Rubik's Cube. Like, he couldn't figure out. Like, it was so difficult. He just didn't know what to do. Like, he looked, aside from the things that you can't explain being out of shape, he looked tired after round 4, like certain things, but he just looked a little off. And to me, even if you prepare better, even if you're in better shape for this fight, even then, I still feel like a Fury that was out of shape should have been able to get off the couch and give Ngannou a boxing lesson. And he didn't. So that's making me question where he's at, quite frankly. And I'll admit that fight definitely I just can't get out of my head. And I think Fury is going to lose this fight. That's just how I feel. And I got Usyk winning a decision. And I see the people like very confident about him knocking out Fury. I don't know about that. But I think he wins a decision. And thank God they don't have 5 judges like Marisha wanted.
Yeah. What my pushback to Joe Habib, you mentioned about the Derek Chisora and the Tony Bellew fight. The thing is, Tyson Fury is not going to bring it to Usyk like that because he knows he'll be walking into counters, and that's one thing he doesn't want to really do. And we know he doesn't fight like that no more. Now he's on this herky jerky, tries to go on the retreat, and when you're on the retreat,
You don't know what you're going to get Saturday.
Fury's going to fight the way he did in the Wilder rematch. That's how he's going to fight this fight.
You go back and watch a Dillian White fight where he did a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
he's
but
going
Dillian
to
White
shoot that same uppercut he shot against White.
You don't know what you're going to get.
But White was they waited him out too long. His title shot was so expired. That was not a good Dillian White. He thought. Remember, Dillian White just got iced a couple of times, like already, like recently. This is a whole different ball game. Like Dillian White, come on. And
let me just say this, Danny.
And Dillian White don't bring no angles.
Let me say this, Danny. Well, Usyk, here's what people don't understand. Lomachenko and Usyk do this. Yeah, they move side to side, but when they do attack, they go straight down the middle. They're not like Pacquiao. They're not coming in from the sides. They'll move side to side, but they'll stop in the middle and shoot in. You just got to time when they're going to stop and shoot in. I'm not trying to oversimplify it by no means, but when you say angles, yeah, he'll start from an angle, but he comes to the center and shoots in straight. He's not going to come in like Pacquiao would just come in from anywhere.
Yeah, but Beeb, can I ask you this?
Sure.
Fury doesn't throw straight punches. Never
has.
He can. What fight?
He can.
I haven't seen him throw a straight punch since the Klitschko fight.
He loops them now.
He loops the punches, and I think I agree with you that that Usyk's going to jump straight in, but I think it's going to get in between those punches and get underneath the punches.
He landed a short right hand against Wilder and put him down.
Yeah, but Wilder's straight up and right in front of you. I mean, Usyk's not going to be straight up with his chin in the air like Wilder.
And they were both breathing like crazy in that fight. Like Fury that was a war of attrition what got him through that third fight, really, with Wilder, because they were both just like, and it was just a matter of that.
Shit, both of them.
Yeah, I don't think that Fury can't throw straight punches or doesn't throw straight punches. Just like people are saying, he can't. Since when does he go to the body? He went to the body against Chisora. He went to the body against He's very versatile. Like to sit there and say he's just going to throw looping punches all night, I just don't believe that's Mike. I mean, has he thrown a lot of looping punches against Wilder? Yeah, because he could. He's not going to throw a lot of looping punches against Usyk.
Fair enough. And look, I agree with you that you mentioned the uppercut. I think the uppercut's going to be a real weapon.
Very big weapon here.
And he could catch Usyk and ice him. He could.
Here's one thing too. Usyk has never been in there. Like I think Fury. Danny says Usyk's a good counterpuncher. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not saying he's a bad counter. I think Fury is a very underrated counterpuncher. Very underrated counterpuncher.
I just know if Fury wins, we're gonna have to hear from the Fury fanatics that he's the best heavyweight of all time for beating Klitschko.
Well, and Mike, I have to say, even though I am the president of the Fury Maniacs, after that fight with Ngannou. When Fury knocks out Usyk, I won't be saying that again. I'm just
okay. Good. Good.
I will make a pledge to you right here. I won't be doing that anymore.
I appreciate that, Joe. Because Twitter is going to be fucking nuts if Fury wins.
Most of you
even
guys,
if he wins by split decision robbery.
Most of you guys are going to go, even if you're not religious. You're going to church Saturday morning. You're going to say a prayer. Please don't let Fury win. I know you're all doing that.
But this is the thing.
All doing that.
I'm glad you brought that up because it's like I said earlier, and I said it earlier on the podcast. The thing for Fury is he can erase a lot of ugly things. And the Fury people who've been critical of Fury, like some of us here, are not going to like that. But the reality is, if this guy becomes undisputed lineal champion with an O on his record on Saturday night, there's going to be a lot of revisionist history, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that's happened earlier sweep under the rug. So that's a good thing for Fury, but it's also bad because it comes with a lot of pressure. There is a lot of pressure on him on Saturday night because
he does better when there's pressure. He does better when there's
I thought the pressure made him gain 100 pounds and he had to take 3 years off because he had mental illness.
Different type of pressure, Steve.
Okay, but that same pressure didn't affect him in the Wilder rematch or the third fight with Wilder.
That types of pressure.
Selective pressure.
That's family pressure. This is fight pressure. Fight pressure is different.
But the beauty of this is this, it can go in one of two directions, like either way, like very far in separate directions, however this goes for Fury. And the other thing I want to just reiterate this, I do think that Fury is it's a much different style than AJ, but and it's more of a code to crack, I think. But the thing is, me and D-Style talked about this after the second fight with Joshua. I thought Joshua made some beautiful adjustments going into that fight and fought great in that fight.
A good fight.
I thought Anthony Joshua fought great. Usyk still wins the fight.
Yeah.
That Usyk that fought that night, that's one of the best heavyweight performances I've seen in a while. And I'm watching that and I'm like, man, I don't know. That's why ultimately I tip to Usyk.
Let me make a point when I say pressure. When I say pressure, I mean when he realizes there is a threat in front of him, I think he takes it up a notch. Same thing with Sugar Ray Leonard.
You're right.
Like certain guys fight down to the level of their opposition, and then some guys fight up. I think Fury does fight up to the level of his opposition. I do believe that.
Well, he's a natural fighter. I mean, you guys keep bringing up AJ. AJ's an athlete first, fighter second. And Fury is a fighter.
And sure, if they go in a weight room, can Anthony Joshua bench more than Tyson Fury? 100%. But go back to the Anthony Joshua and the Joseph Parker fight. He didn't want nothing to do with Joseph Parker on the inside. Fury relishes the inside fight. He relishes that dirty inside clinch style fighting. Joshua doesn't like it. Usyk doesn't like it.
He didn't relish it in the Ngannou fight, Fury, though.
He didn't. But
the pressure's on Fury.
He's going to relish it against a guy that is going to be outweighed by 40 pounds. I would say that.
Yeah, Ngannou is a strong, powerful guy. Very, very powerful.
You don't lock up with Ngannou, Danny.
Yeah, even though Ngannou can't punch.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing.
That's a mountain of a man, Ngannou.
I remember in the first round, Ngannou tried to get on the inside, and AJ he fucking held him. He couldn't move AJ. He could, and then they broke it up.
He's not as strong as AJ in a boxing ring.
Like what I'm saying is, AJ was able to hold Ngannou in place. Fury wasn't. Like I'm just gonna throw it out there. Like go watch that first round. He did it twice to him. Like
I've heard from good authority Fury didn't even train for that fight. He basically got off his couch and
he still should have dominated.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
I can't.
I will say this.
I can't defend that performance. I can't defend it.
Because I can get off this couch right now, and I'm telling you, I'll take out Jake Paul. So there's no excuse for Fury.
Hey, give my guy Danny that money. Come on, let's make this fight happen. You know
I want to see that shit. I want to see that.
You know what I mean?
Look, Fury. Let me ask you this, guys. I want your opinion on this. Fury needs this win more than Usyk. Usyk's a Hall of Famer if he retires tomorrow. Fury's resume has so many holes in it. To me, there's a cloud of suspicion over the Klitschko win. And I saw someone in the chat, by the way, say, "Oh, you tested positive for Christian Hammer." Yeah, that was the eliminator to get the Klitschko fight. And if you think he was doing steroids for Hammer to fight Christian Hammer, you didn't think he was going to use him to fight Klitschko, whatever.
No.
That out of the ring for 3 years, the whole mental illness excuse, which somehow never happened before or after that incident, when he was forced to take VADA testing with the rematch with Klitschko, so he couldn't use steroids. Sorry. And then I'm just saying, there's a lot of holes in that resume. He needs this win.
Well, he
Usyk really doesn't. It'd be great for Usyk to win, but he doesn't need it to be a Hall of Famer. He retires tomorrow. He gets my vote first ballot.
I'll be honest with you, Mike. You're not going to like to hear this. Joshua and Fury and Usyk will all get in the Hall of Fame because you can only fight the best in your era.
Sure they will. Sure they will.
Yeah,
they're all going to go in.
Fury, I remember when he ducked that Ustinov fight as well. So yeah, he's got a lot of holes in that resume, man.
His uncle died, Danny. Please show some sympathy.
Yeah,
but I think Anthony Joshua beats Tyson.
Guys, you guys,
I think Anthony Joshua is a better heavyweight than him.
I think Tyson Fury is one of those. Tyson Fury is one of those fighters in the O era who I feel needs that O to solidify himself. I think he's one of those fighters, Beeb. So
you may be
there's
right, Alex.
There's
I
so
like
much
the Andre
pressure.
Ward comparison, though. Because you're right. A lot of people look at Andre Ward now. He's an all-time great. He beat Frach and Kovalev, and Kovalev was drinking vodka during camp. So, like, yeah. I just revisionist history. If Fury wins, we're gonna, he's the second coming of Ali and Joe Louis, I guess.
Danny, you're not going to cut off some slack that his uncle died, man.
No. But that wasn't the reason, because he was like, "Oh, you guys are trying to set me up."
When was the last fight that he pulled out of the Klitschko fight?
No, the Usyk fight.
So
that was postponed.
He delayed the Joshua
That's
fight.
not a pullout. That's not a pullout.
Well, David Hay.
He had a condom on. That's not a pullout.
He should be wearing a cage mask, Beeb. He should be wearing a cage mask that close to a fight.
I understand. He wore a cage match for this one. We learned our lesson. I mean, he learned his lesson.
Look,
They've been sending me tapes. They've been sending me tapes. I'm sorry.
Look, I'm hoping it's a great fight. I hope it's not a bore fest because that would suck. I think it's gonna be a great fight. Finally, we're gonna have an undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Everyone on the panel. Shout out to Steve Kim. Shout out to Michael Montero, Danny, Calix, Dave from the Shoe Shine, and Joe Beeb. And for all of them, this is DstyleBoxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here, guys. Peace.
If he loses, I won't be able to leave the house.